clearly this need is recognized and used, applied in India, is that you have what many of us, including Leonard Bloomfield, considered probably the greatest literary achievement of mankind, the Ashtadhyayi of Panini, which we are about to start getting into. Here's a text which everybody in Indian tradition basically bows down to as being just a miraculous manifestation of the intellect and connection with speech. By the 16th century, end of the 16th century, the scholars and academics in Varanasi, in Kashi, considered it to be beyond the pale of the modern student. So that they found that the modern student, this was just beyond them. So a grammarian of the time in the Paninian tradition, a man by the name of Bhatuji Dikshita, he changed the order of the 4,000 shlokas, the verses in the Ashtadhyayi, and added a great deal of commentary so that his students and other students studying Panini would be able to continue that tradition. So this is something that's very well recognized and known for thousands of years in India, and we have some modern thinkers in the last 50 or 100 years that in the West that are really just sort of starting to come to grips with this. I find that very curious.
I had one other, just because it's been I think a theme in things that you've said is that that actually there's sort of an honoring or appreciation of brevity in the oral tradition. And is that, I want to say, is that so that people won't understand it at first and it will encourage them to participate in commentary or make them wonder?
Honoring of brevity is throughout the world of literary people, of science, anybody who is articulating, I think, throughout the world, throughout history, is interested in brevity. The Indian tradition happens to be masters of brevity, especially through certain styles of composition, such as the sutra style, where to the composer of a sutra, to eliminate even a single syllable in the course of the text is equivalent to the birth of a son. This is one of their sayings. So brevity, and we will understand this also when we're looking at when we start looking at the specifics of speech. That this is important, and I think that it's important in our modern lives to be economical in our speech.
So the question, I think, which first needs to be answered is why the hell has it to be oral? You know, can't you just put it in a book or on a CD? And you know, all that ideas which come up, isn't there something? Isn't there no other way to keep something, you know, on record? So the thing is that as soon as you put it in a book, then the book falls apart, and the book is translated in the wrong way, and the CD, you know, also falls apart and all that. And the thing is that we are talking about some substance which, if you want to preserve it, and if you feel the responsibility to pass it on, The only choice you have is to tell it to somebody who will tell it to somebody else. And then if you look at Patanjali or Panini, they composed these sutras, I think, after, you know, a lifetime effort, chewing the whole thing through and through, and then taking really responsibility to put it down in the shortest possible format, because they want the students to remember that. That's also why it's rhymed. You know, these are all verses which you can recite. And basically, this is not really scripture. It's something which needs to, which wants to be memorized. Then, of course, you find it later, you find it in books and so on. But that's already, you know, actually the thing, if you can't keep it in your mind, you can't keep it. That's what I think. I mean, again, going by the analogy of the transmission of music, there's just no other way. You cannot learn from a CD, you cannot learn from a book, you have no clue what you're doing unless you spend really a lot of time, and then you have to be this very, I mean, decided that this is really what I want to understand. So otherwise you wouldn't put effort in it. There is no way to understand something just arbitrarily because you want to add something to your knowledge. So you really have to feel the absolute imperative need, and then you can, you know, that's like the first requirement. Otherwise, I mean, where will you go?
Right. Brevity is used for other reasons other than mnemonics. Usually in the oral tradition in India, there's, for all of you to understand, is there's a system of mnemonics, M-N-E mnemonics. And I'm not going to attempt the rest of the spelling. But these are devices that assist with memorization, and of course brevity would certainly be one of those devices. Rhyming and rhythm, of course, is another one of these devices, but they have other uses as well, especially brevity, as we'll come to see when we look at how the sutra is composed. There's more elements than just the interest to have disciples able to memorize the material. But I want to move on here to a very curious related issue that is going to begin our discussion of syllables, which I think will be our next little focus, so that we can discuss larger issues.